Hey everybody, it's Mike at digitalnomad.net doing lots of videos about relationships. It feels like we're in a relationship crisis. We're at relationship wars, war of the sexes, political wars, everything's going on all at once. 13 I say controversial truths about masculinity depending upon who you are. Let's get right into it.
Young men, if you choose the wrong woman, you are sacrificing your goals for a life spent managing her problems that she refuses to fix. The right woman will augment your life goals. She'll be a jet engine strapped to your back
Yeah, I
that
think
pushes you
so.
ahead even faster.
Okay, for me, I would say absolutely. I am on my second marriage, final marriage, I would hope. And there was a massive difference between the two different women there. And just in the way he described, in my opinion, but you need to really put some thought into it. And this is also one of the reasons why I recommend, if you've been watching some of my videos, that men wait till you're like 35, 40 to even begin to enter the dating market seriously and looking for someone because these are obviously talking about life partners, not one night stands here.
I've been teaching men this lately. I got a new course out about marriage. You are supposed to be the CEO in a relationship, life, family that you're building. You need to pick a woman who's an appropriate COO, operations officer, who's going to work with you, a
I don't
co-executive.
know what to think
You
about
don't need a
that.
woman that's lagging
Let
behind,
me know
that's
in the
dragging at
comments.
you, that you can't get to the office to work. And you also don't want to have her take the lead over you because she'll resent you. You need to work together like co-executives.
She'll resent you if she takes the lead over you.
And when you do, there is
Interesting.
nothing on this planet that will drive you faster to success than that good woman.
What does choosing the wrong woman look like? You're sacrificing your goals for a life spent managing her problems that she refuses to fix.
A lot of guys lately, I know, Chris, you've heard this, a lot of guys complain that women have no accountability. I say that women who are living in a state of chronic terror and their sympathetic nervous system is activated and they're alone, they're in a heightened survival state, they're designed to try to push off responsibility for survival. That's a woman who's in a very insecurely attached state. When a woman's in a calm, securely attached state, she focuses instead on her long-term life goals and her ethics and principles to get her there.
Okay.
These are the women that we record through history of having been incredible drivers of love, success, growth, everything.
So he is equating this to finding the right person as opposed to the wrong person. And of course, you have to have some wisdom here, especially if you're a man. And he's not saying it, but I think he's kind of insinuating that it's the man's responsibility to make this choice. Even if the woman chooses him, it's ultimately, it seems like his responsibility, but that also requires wisdom, experience, age. Another reason why I think as things are changing and the pendulum is swinging here in the dating market and values in the dating market and, ubiquitous online entertainment and knowledge of all, that men just need to wait.
A securely attached woman is what a man needs to be looking for, nothing less.
That sounds a lot like a bi-directional problem, that the woman doesn't feel safe because she's not being made to feel safe. So in some ways, it's not just choosing.
And that's a big thing, obviously, as you all probably know. Women, I think all women would agree this, even with men, that occasionally they will get into that state where they don't feel safe, and then everything just collapses from there, it seems like.
I suppose choosing the wrong woman sounds like there is something wrong with them, but I guess inbuilt into this is if you choose an...
No, I would say nothing wrong with them, just wrong for the relationship. A relationship's a two-way street, so it's, oh, wow. I mean, so many people in relationships, they just blame the other person. You won't hear that from me, okay? It's a two-way street. There's equal responsibility there.
Incompatible woman, she becomes the wrong woman. Is that a fair way to frame it?
It is. It is. The man does have responsibility. The masculine, our job is to provide 4 levels of safety. If you want to get into that for women, we need to provide safety at 4 levels, but the woman needs to be able to receive safety. And in our world right now, we're not training women to receive safety at all. They stay feeling unsafe, even if the man is adequately providing those levels of safety for her.
Dig into...
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. If you're a female out there, please respond with the comments so I can know what to think about that.
To that safety thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. A man provides safety in 4 degrees, okay? 1 is physical safety. Yes, safety from our ancestors, saber-toothed tigers, rival tribes, even safety from yourself. Be physically safe. Two is resource safety. Okay. Ancestors, hunter gatherers. That means food, meat. Today, it could mean finances. She might be contributing, but if a problem rises, he's going to spearhead that and tackle it first. Number three is emotional safety. She knows that if she shares a problem with him, like an operations officer should, that he's going to receive it graciously, listen respectfully, ask questions, and then solve the problem. She doesn't have to tiptoe on eggshells. He's not going to blow up. So he's emotionally disciplined. Most men with attachment issues, they fail this third degree right here because they're afraid of commitment, they're afraid of getting scammed, they're afraid of whatever, so they never really lean into a relationship and they always leave her hanging. And the fourth
Okay, so he blamed that on men. That's interesting because so many times I see men blaming that dynamic on women.
is bonding safety. He has to be biochemically bonded to her and be displaying the right signs of being biochemically bonded through oxytocin and vasopressin. This is why women are tracking for romance, affection, warmth, emotional connection to know that you're not going to leave her in the middle of the desert. She needs to know that you're with her. Those are the four levels of safety we must provide. Now, a lot of women can't trust any of those four levels of safety because we've got 4 generations of women now taught don't trust men. They fail you, they let you down, they check out, they hurt you.
Or just that you don't need a man. I think just saying that you don't need a man, men are optional. If you find a good one, great, but most of the time they're not, then that's going to be part of that bad dynamic too.
So that's part of the problem. Men need to be providing, but women need to be able to receive.
Yeah, and I guess that is choosing the right woman, and for women as well, choosing the right man. That you can have a pairing which, in a different relationship with a different partner, would be secure, would feel safe, would be regulated, but this particular oil and water mixture just doesn't want to go together.
Nope.
No, and we are seeing that among Gen Z, 65% of them now are insecurely attached, leaving only about 35% securely attached. And the rate of personality disorders, part of that, has risen from 10% to about 20%. So we're definitely going in the wrong direction. Men and women are not connecting because they can't form a human bond to each other. Instead, they're forming an emotion-focused bond of how do I feel instead of what are we achieving, what are we building, what are we growing, how do we operate as co.
Right, I would say that's true. I'd say that, even though I am big on goal setting and think it's important to people, that is kind of being left behind. Like, oh, there's no law in place that requires me to document my goals and make progress on them. It just has to feel right. And then if it doesn't feel right, AKA I'm not happy, then it's over.
Co-executives in a co-created life together. It's how do I feel right now at this moment, and what do I need to do to feel better in 5 seconds? That's a lot of the relationships we're
Short
seeing.
term, yeah.
It seems
Short
like
term.
that's a lot more short term.
Dopamine.
It is. They're focused on the short-term survival. It's a sympathetic nervous system activation that's really causing the issue, and it's a chronic trauma.
And that's part of the thing I've been saying, that you can train yourself to have longer attention spans and get rid of those short-term dopamine hits by watching content like this. This will actually help you when you have time, anyway, because I know most people don't have time to watch long-form content all the time.
Trauma from infancy. And that's really when we talk about attachment issues, what it is. You were traumatized as an infant. You don't recognize it because it's not what you would consider trauma now, but your trauma is focused around relationships. And that activates your prefrontal cortex differently. People with avoidant attachment style, it overgrows to squash their emotional expression and bonding. And anxiously attached people, it underdevelops. And so they never learn that they can actually self-regulate. They demand that other people self-regulate for them, but they believe that they're operating at a deficit because no one will ever love them. So then they overperform in relationships, expecting co-regulation as payment. So that's what we've got running around right now. And that's why when you get on the dating apps, the avoidantly attached people who look the best are the ones ruling the dating apps, and everybody else is left in the lurch because they're all playing this insecurely attached, feelings-based game. The securely attached people are self-segregated out into a completely different cluster, and they're dating and marrying successfully and having children successfully.
Again, this is if he's talking about long-term relationships, not one-night stands, something like that. Because a lot of people are using the dating apps specifically and just for that.
But their pool is dwindling as society is continuing to break down.
Yeah, you had a fucking slamming take on this. Modern dating is what happens when the estimated 35% of securely attached people get married young and leave the pool, and the other 65% of insecurely attached people try to figure out how to manipulate each other into shared stimulation.
Okay, that is correct. And I'd say that is going to be more prominent as time goes on, because I'm saying, if you understand, women's top value in the dating market is between 21 and 22 years of age. Men's is probably 40, around that time frame. And the reason why is because women are outperforming men in income and education and all of that, and they want hypergamy. They want to date up. Problem is, if they do all these things, these financial and career accomplishments, by the time their fertility window ends around 35, at least quality fertility, then there's nobody left. And the men who are there around that age, who are finally coming into their own, they would rather have someone that's 21, 22. So like he's saying, people who really have some goals and want to have a quality family, want to have kids, the women are going to get married early. That's what's going to happen. The women are. He's not saying that specifically here, but I am. But the men are not going to get married early because things are so expensive. There's no way in hell they're going to be able to support a household with some people who are in their young 20s. And so the man has to build things up. And then when he does, he will be able to have a quality family and good people who know that they want to have kids and they don't want to get in that mess of a dating market that's out there, right? I mean, it's totally dysfunctional these days.
That's the problem. Honestly, that's the problem. That's what I've dedicated my life to fixing, is doing that. So when I got a coaching client that comes in, he goes, Adam, I'm 45. I've never been able to marry successfully. I don't know what I'm doing. What's the purpose in my life? Right. He's hitting the second mountain state, as David.
I think that this is a good place for a guy like that. He's ready. He is. Yeah. I mean, for some reason, we're still in the mode where men are feeling bad about themselves in their 20s and early 30s when they should feel good and they should realize all this. And by the way, the link to this video is down in the description if you want to watch the whole thing.
Brooks would call it. And he doesn't know what to do with his life. He's got all this money. He's succeeding everywhere except romance. I show him, okay, what is a human relationship supposed to be? What does it do for you biochemically? A lot of them freak out when they start hearing about how high-performing men are dying young, losing their testosterone, and losing everything that they've built because they don't know how to build relationships, because their receptors are actually blocked for the oxytocin.
Well, around that time, 40, 45, he's in his top value in the dating market. He should have some knowledge, some wisdom, and he should be able to make a good decision here. And for the reasons that this guy is saying, it's important that he does, because he wants to have a good life going forward and a long, good quality life.
So we can get into that if you ever want to, but that's what's killing a lot of the highest performing men today, is not being able to receive the oxytocin bonding that they need from their partner. So then they say, what does a woman even bring to the table? Because we no longer have a concept of soft, intimate connection.
Yeah, what's happening with oxytocin in modern men?
Most modern men don't get physical contact after the age of 12, if they even get it up to the age of 12. So they only get it through sexual intimacy with a partner. Now, avoidantly attached men make up the bulk of attachment issues. Okay, avoidant attachment says, I don't trust other humans to be fair or reasonable to me. They're going to hurt me. It comes from overwhelming arbitrary expectations in childhood, critical parents, divorce, blah, blah, blah. So
bad examples of relationships. That's how I would explain that. And that's one of the reasons why people don't want to get into marriage, I'd say, is all the bad examples.
These avoidant men activate into the sympathetic nervous system and never come out. They can't go to their parasympathetic rest and digest mode. They can't have a peace mode. They are always in war and stress mode. So they're always conquering, but you see them thrive. And this is a biological adaptation for our species to thrive in bad, dangerous environments. These men activate, they start building things. Everyone else joins under their umbrella. They're the employers, they're the leaders. They grow society. But the cost is that their oxytocin receptors block. They get closed off because of that sympathetic nervous system activation. Now, as this happens, they cannot form sentimental, warm, affectionate bonds with people, and they can't receive that. Now, oxytocin is crucial because you have to use it to synthesize GABA, which suppresses cortisol release. So GABA shuts down your cortisol and says, I'm loved, I'm cared for, I'm in a tribe of brothers. When we look at Iceland, they have a great saying on this: bare is the back of a brotherless man. This is a man whose back is always bare, so he's always watching his front and his back and can never relax. So,
all right, now while he's giving you all this gloom and doom, I'm an optimist. I just want to tell you, thanks to the internet and YouTube University and all this free content, anybody who falls into any of the traps that he's saying has the ability to get out of them there's so much content like this available online.
So he is never, ever, ever able to come out of stress mode. He is always active, but that means that he can't use GABA to synthesize melatonin to sleep at night. Okay. His oxytocin doesn't allow that because it's so low. He has chronic pain. He doesn't sleep well at night, so he's not generating serotonin, so his mood is low.
Okay. Keep in mind that as he's describing all of this, I run a nonprofit called plantbaseddiet.org. You can learn more at plantbaseddiet.org. And we talk about health optimization. And in order to optimize your health, and this is part of health, relationship health, and all these different qualities that go along with being able to have a good quality relationship, you need to take care of yourself. And men tend to not take care of themselves, that's for sure. And I mean the right food. That is so important. The right food. We talk about that. We have our own nutritional standard. And also for your mental health, daily, vigorous, aerobic exercise. You have to have these things. Otherwise, you will be totally out of balance, most likely, regardless of whatever else you do. Even if you're trying to learn this on YouTube, you won't be able to do it, not to the full extent anyway.
He's in a depressed state that he doesn't recognize. He's not only redlining, but probably blacklining much of the time and stressed out. His testosterone about 30 to 35 begins to diminish. He has erectile dysfunction about 30 to 35. He is only able to form relationships.
Again, a lot of that, even though the erectile dysfunction is totally based or almost entirely based on the type of food that the man is eating. Because again, men of the two sexes generally are the ones that don't take care of themselves.
Romantically and sexually based on novelty dopamine, which dies 5 to 7 months into a relationship, and then it just becomes relentless duty without pleasure or payoff. And then about 40, 45, he begins having high risk of cancer, heart attack, and stroke. But he has formed an immense business. He's fed other people's families.
Okay, I think it's great that he's talking about the importance of a high quality relationship with a member of the opposite sex, which he is, but it does not supersede the right habits outside of that. Lifestyle medicine, 6 pillars, healthy vegan food, 6 pillars. We talk about this all day long in our nonprofit. If you want to achieve health optimization, those are not optional. We don't talk so much about these relationships other than social connections is one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine. So you need to master relationships at least to that degree. It doesn't necessarily specify and say you need to be in a married long-term relationship, although I'm sure that also helps as well.
He's taking care of people, but when he goes home at night, all he does is drink alcohol and wish that he had somebody there to take care of him and be with him. Yeah. So this is the highest performing men across society on every continent.
These are the ones that everybody looks up to.
Yes, and we should. They have great traits, but the problem is not that they're jerks. We give them these bad things, but they're actually usually wonderful people. The problem is that they don't understand that they're missing oxytocin, that warm, sentimental connection. They don't know that they're missing it. So they're going around looking for this thing that they know must be there, this peace, this connection. They tell women, I just want peace, but they can never find it because they can't click out of that mode into parasympathetic. So when we show them that, it changes everything for them, and suddenly it's like the end of Christmas Carol when Scrooge
It's interesting because he's almost blaming men for this lack of peace in a way, because what I see a lot of the memes and stuff online, social media, is that the men with the sex wars are blaming the women for lack of peace. Like these women are taking control of everything. These women are boss babes and are telling everyone what to do. They're in charge. The man isn't in charge anymore. But this guy is saying that it doesn't make any difference, apparently, that they're not going to be able to handle this anyway.
Learns what love is, and then he just returns an abundance of love to other people. The research is wonderful on this. A group that connects to an avoidant man successfully and he connects to them, they both benefit because he continues to be very vigilant and watch over them. But now he is owning that and caring for them and protective. So they gain from his sensors and they gain from his awareness and carefulness. And he gains that love and intimacy and extends his lifespan by about 10 to 15 years. And then his quality of life improves for his entire lifespan. So if we can get these men reintegrated,
Health
we all
and longevity.
That's
what we're about.
The purpose here.
I wonder how much of this is. It's very difficult, especially in an atomized world where most people spend most of their time on their own, or their communication with other people is mediated through the internet or through more shallow, more formal conversations, stuff that happens at work. I wonder whether the kinds of guys who are constructed to be able to be hyper successful, hyper vigilant, insecure overachievers, they get rewarded from the world by being successful in the only way that anybody else can detect, which is outwardly.
Yep.
Inner peace is unfortunately not something that you can flex very well on an Instagram post, and you can't cash it in to go on holiday to the Bahamas with it, and it doesn't look very good on a resume, and your friends are usually not all that impressed by it unless you've got super awesome friends. And
Well, a lot of ways, men, because they're talking about more traditional men, more traditional relationships, need to realize that life is all about balance. Even if you've done well in those categories that they've described, your health is going to suffer. And this is typical of men. Why do you think? What's one of the reasons why men definitely live less? Uh, the years that they get before they die are less than women. It's just one of the reasons. Men just don't take care of themselves. He's calling it inner peace. I'm just saying it's got the food, it's got the good habits, it's got the exercise. I know they're not mentioning it here. They're thinking about this from a psychological or yeah, I mean that's what they're thinking. It's all in your head, but I don't. Only part of it is, but part of it definitely is.
get the sense that meritocracy, capitalism, I'm as fucking capitalistic and ruthless as you can find, but it does create some pretty perverse incentives because it causes people to prioritize things that are they're instrumental goods, not ultimate goods, right? Like an instrumental good of achieving money or gaining status or whatever is only useful in as much as it makes your life better, in as much as it makes you happier. And a lot of guys are choosing to live a worse life in order to make money when they already live a sufficiently good lifestyle.
See, that's not new. That's not new. These guys are talking more traditional relationship setups here, and that's always been true. If you ask me, I don't know if there's ever been a period of time where that hasn't been true.
And what they're missing is something that can't be purchased with more money. So it's this sort of vicious cycle of advertising. It's kind of like, I don't know, the emperor's new clothes, but everybody is the emperor and nobody's telling them, hey man, I think that you'd actually probably be better off if you just chilled out a bit and went to try and find some friends that you could hang out with, or got some hobbies that weren't just working, or found a partner that wasn't only 6 months like into a relationship with you and then you cycle her out.
I fully agree with you. That's what all of them are looking for. They have a sense that something's wrong. They know something's missing, but they've never really experienced it because their oxytocin receptors have been blocked since childhood, before the formation of emotion and feeling. And their brain.
So this guy is saying basically that this is a more recent phenomenon because we've had so many bad child rearing experiences in a row, a couple generations, that nobody knows what to do anymore, and it's a recent phenomenon. I don't know. My thought here is that I don't necessarily think it's a recent phenomenon. I think the only reason why they're getting a lot of attention with this is because men's rights and the role of males in society is on the spotlight right now. It's under the spotlight, and especially traditional is more people are considering going back to more traditional ways after neoliberalism started here in the 80s with Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan. So that's why I think this is being looked at like this, and I personally don't think it's ever been any different. I think I'm still hoping and waiting and trying to help men to evolve to a point they've never been to before.
Overdevelops to prevent that emotional expression, so they can't really experience it. When you sit down with one of these guys and you talk to them about their personal experiences, they over intellectualize everything as a barrier against their emotions, and they don't know they're doing it. So you have to really go at them, and they have to really be
This has also been going on since the beginning of time.
convinced that something's wrong, so they'll sit with the emotion for a while. When someone else comes to them with emotions, when a girlfriend or a lover says, hey, I really care about you, and I don't understand why we're so distant now. It's 7 months. We should be closer. And she's crying. His mirroring neurons activate in his brain, and he feels her emotions, but without context and not knowing how to regulate them because he's not used to feeling emotions. So it overwhelms him, and he starts backing off, which she perceives as abandonment. So she chases, and he gets more scared and more wary because he says, I'm getting nothing from this relationship, and your expectations have gone up. I'm about to get trapped. So he pulls away further, and that creates creates that cycle. It's not that these men don't want connection. They do more than anything on the planet. They don't know how to get it in a way that they won't feel exploited or endangered. And they don't know what it
Well, that could be new because it seems like, with the way things are, uh, with equalness here and the high cost of living, if you have kids in a household and it splits up, damn, suddenly you got to be able to support two households. So I guess men may look at it that way. In the past, wasn't necessarily like that, but also in the past, nobody got divorced. In the past, there were way more worse marriages because people wouldn't get divorced. Not to say that the ones that are still married today are having good marriages, but I can see why that may be more of a recent phenomenon.
feels like. So it's this idea. That's why they keep chasing 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. They have all these women in their life, but they never really connect with them because it's just never clicking. They're waiting for the day it will somehow click. So they go to seminars, they go to retreats, they study chemistry, they study game, they study everything to try to learn how to activate this feeling they should have. They start to think, well, maybe I'm a sociopath. It's all that survival mechanism that's clicked on until they learn how to regulate their nervous system and come down, until they learn that there even is a second mode that they could click into, and then they have to not be afraid to click into it because they're afraid of getting killed if they click out of survival mode because it's kept them safe. They click into peace mode, they feel it with somebody. It has to be a safe human being who's secure enough that they won't backstab him or ruin his life with emotions, and then they feel it and immerse with it. Then something amazing happens because the male and female systems, our nervous systems, are actually meant to integrate symbiotically. The female nervous system needs safety to maintain a high levels of fertility, bonding, peace, generation of all the nutrients a child will need, care. And then as she receives oxytocin, it becomes contagious. She's compelled to give affection and kindness to those around her. That's that feminine mode. On the TikTok parlance is being in my feminine. But for her to activate that, a man has to be providing those 4 levels of safety and he has to integrate with her. Then the male goes out into stress mode, hunts, fights, kills, gets resources, comes back. And as he does, he lets go of stress mode and integrates with her calm nervous system. As he does, she integrates with him and she pulls him into his parasympathetic nervous
This is
system, that
complicated.
rest and digest mode. Guys like us, we have to practice martial arts in a cave for 20 years to learn how to get there on our own. Or we could just let a woman who loves us help us pull into that. And as we do, if our oxytocin receptors open, she floods us with it. Oxytocin goes up, GABA goes up, serotonin goes up, testosterone goes up, human growth hormone goes up. Everything massively improves. And this is why all across the earth, all the cultures say feminine is healing. It's because she's literally healing your body through your biochemical makeup, but only when you can integrate successfully. Only when you can be receptive to her. She has to be receptive to you, you're receptive to her.
Are you agreeing or disagreeing with this? He just went on and on about this. And I do agree that life is balanced. I'm just not so sure that what he's describing is what's actually going on. He obviously seems very sure of it. I'd like to hear what you have to say in the comments.
We build this together. So I'll leave that there. You go ahead.
Most dating advice you find on the internet encourages anxiously attached men to act avoidantly attached instead, so they can prey upon anxiously attached women and use their insecurities against them to harvest sex from them. This is called red pill dating.
What do you think of that one first? I want to hear your thoughts on that one.
I think it's interesting that I certainly see
For me, this anxious attachment and avoidant attachment is new. I'm not a counselor. I'm not into psychology so much. So, I'm not so sure about this, but I do know that things are way off. Obviously, nobody seems to be happy except for very few these days. And I hope this is beneficial anyway to you all watching this.
among some of the most charismatic and highest bravado guys that talk about dating, a very strong, anxious foundation that this stuff is growing out of. And it does seem that you couldn't even put your finger on it. Where is that coming from? What is it that you're seeing? I don't know. I just get the sense that this isn't sat on a secure foundation, that it's not sort of a firm, securely attached person who is emotionally regulated, but it's not always some classic avoidant attachment guy who just doesn't want to get any sense of care or
All right, let's just leave this
Belonging.
here. Chris and Adam, this anxious attachment, avoidant attachment. I know this, you know, let me know what you think, because obviously I'm not so sure I agree with these guys. I think that what's been going on has been going on since the beginning of time. I think what's happened more recently, and they're not talking about it, is the ability for all the men and all the women to see who's out there. And most people have been pairing up at similar ages, men and women, and having kids, which for long-term relationships, which is what they're talking about. But I think that going forward, women are going to need to be taught to get themselves together, because their best chance of having kids and reproducing, because there's a fertility crisis right now, and it's going to be into the indefinite future, is that they need to get their act together, because 21, 22 is their time frame. Okay. And the men need to not be depressed. They need to not waste their lives in their 20s and early 30s. And then by the time they've learned all their lessons and built up what they're going to build up and are financially stable and ready to have kids, if kids and the long-term relationship is it, that's what they need to be taught. Men need to wait. Women need to hurry up. Not in the way it's been going, because women have been hurrying up and school's been designed for them, and they've been doing better in the work, in the career area. And if women want to do career, if they want to do all that, and just never get in a long-term committed relationship with children, that's fine. Monogamous, that's fine. They don't have to do that. But I think everyone does want to, and maybe for some of the reasons that they said. And like I said, one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine is social connections. So if it's just short term and we're never going to see you again, that doesn't really help that social connection part of health span. And of course, everybody doesn't want to be sick, so they want to be healthy. So that's what's going to change, in my opinion. Women, their chance is 21, 22. Men, you wait to 35 plus. Let me know what you think in the comments and share this with somebody that can benefit. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.